You are Locked On 76ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, welcome in, everybody. This is Locked On 76ers Postcast on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name is Mark Farzetta. Wake the kids, get the neighbors. This is an extravaganza you won't want to miss. The 76ers pulled together, as the great Lou Brown would say, and as my Phillies postcast people know all too well, win 3 in a row. That was called a winning streak. It has happened before. And here we are with the 10-9-8 76ers on now the 29th officially of December. They have notched their first 3-game winning streak of the season, and overall 9 of their last 12 games, we've been able to chalk up W's next to the 76ers name. How about that? This one was not in the bag. I thought it would be. And if you could have a letdown game in the NBA, oh my goodness gracious, this looked like it was about to be a letdown game for the 76ers. I was waiting for them, but in the second quarter, I thought, okay, you got your stuff together after a really lackluster first quarter. We'll allow that after a big hyped win beating the Celtics. You traveled out there to play a 7-win Utah Jazz team. You go out there and you see Sexton. Okay, you see Markkanen out there. You see Clarkson out there. All right, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Shake off that first quarter. And they did in the second. And then they allowed, unfortunately, the Utah Jazz to come storming back in the third quarter and still make a game of it in the fourth quarter, including leading the Sixers midway through that fourth quarter. And I thought, okay, guys, you guys see enough horsing around, right? Like, we found humility here, right? Okay, we're all humble. We've been humbled. The Sixers are going to get your act together, right? And then at about the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter, Joel Embiid checks back in. Paul George with 5 fouls checks back in. Tyrese Maxey starts hitting threes. And the Sixers, I'm not going to say took control, because even up to the final shot there by Lauri Markkanen, you thought this could be anybody's game. But they did just enough to win this game. They took advantage of 20 turnovers from the Utah Jazz tonight, converting that from what I believe amounted to 22 points. We'll get to the official numbers coming up in a second. But all in all, I'm just happy the Sixers avoided the letdown, kept the good vibes going, and beat a team they should have beat handily. However, nothing's been easy for the Sixers this year, but still they come away with their third straight win. And again, 9 of 12 to start things out. We'll get to our 3 big things coming up in a second. Of course, hit me up in the comments as well. Let me know what you guys think about this game. And I do want to tell you here at Locked On Sports Philadelphia and this Locked On 76ers Postcast, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing Locked On 76ers Daily Newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign in for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On 76ers newsletter. This particular episode is brought to you by the amazing people at FanDuel. Take advantage of all FanDuel has to offer and get started right now with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com. Let's get it started with 3 big things right out of the gate. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, going to talk about them as a tandem into tonight's ball game, because this is what they were able to put together on the floor tonight. Each coming up with 32 points. I'll do the math for you. That's 64 combined points for your 76ers, more than half of what they were able to score as a team, and they carried the workload heavily in this game, including trying to run a little 2-man game for one another. Embiid comes up with the 32. Maxey comes up with 32. Maxey also dishes 6 assists in the game. Joel Embiid comes up with 4, as well as pulling down 5 rebounds in the game. The big number for Tyrese Maxey, as far as I'm concerned here, is the number 10, and then another big number, the number 5. 5 of 13 from beyond the arc, 9 of 10 from the charity stripe. 10 free throws tonight for Tyrese Maxey. Him and Joel Embiid combined for 23 free throws attempted, and together they made 20. Not a bad night at the charity stripe. You love to see it. Those two guys tonight especially when the Sixers needed them the most at the tail end of that fourth quarter, stepped up in a huge way. Things started out in the fourth quarter with Eubanks coming up with 2 alley-oops, one a jam, the other a layup. It was 81-81 at the start of that fourth quarter. Then Maxey steps up, hits a 3 to get the Sixers back to within 2 points. Then Eubanks comes down the other end. He throws down a jam. Yabusele knocks down a 3, comes up with a steal and a run-out jam. It ends up being for Kelly Oubre. And then Maxey hits a free throw. Embiid comes up with a jumper, has a great play on the inbounds play, gets the hoop in the harm, so to speak, in the words of our old friend Mark Zumoff, with about 5 minutes left in the game, makes it a 101-100 Sixers deficit, unfortunately. But Embiid comes up with the hook shot, gets the foul on Kessler, gets him his fifth foul, and Embiid drains the 3. And then that made it 101-100 in favor of the 76ers. Embiid also had a defensive stop. Maxey hit a 3 off that defensive stop to give the Sixers a 2-point advantage at 105-103, and they cooked from that point on. Now, when I say cooked, I mean offensively. Defensively, they were still giving up the points there, unfortunately, to the Utah Jazz. Maxey would hit another 3 with about 2 minutes left in the game to put the Sixers up 3. That broke a 105-105 tie. That was an interesting play because Paul George actually had the shot, decided to pass up on it, kicked it around the horn there, around the perimeter to Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid had a little quarterback to halfback toss play where he just tossed it to Tyrese Maxey, who was about 5 feet to his left. Maxey hits the 3, puts the Sixers up 3 points, and then still, the Utah Jazz just wouldn't get away. You had to have some good coaching strategy there from Nick Nurse in challenging when he did challenge. The referees, I thought tonight, were terrible in general. We'll get to that a little bit later. But all in all, when the Sixers needed some points, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Johnny on the spot, both of them, to make sure that they came up to get those points for the Sixers. Some struggling, unfortunately, and this brings me to number 2. Paul George, certainly not his worst night tonight. Looking at his numbers, Paul George, 4 from 11, 2 for 5 from beyond the arc, 3 for 5 from the free throw line, missing 2 late in the game. Come on, bruh. All in all, 13 points for Paul George. I'm still waiting patiently, Paul George, for another night like you had against the Charlotte Hornets in that Monday night game 2 weeks ago. Waiting for that 33-point performance. I don't even need 33 points. I mean, I'd like to have 33 points, but I'm still waiting for that type of performance from Paul George where I watch him and I go, oh, he's healthy. He's 100%. Oh, he's moving great. Oh, he's coming up playing defensively. One of the things that you looked at from Paul George tonight was even in games where he's not getting you 20 points, he fills out the stat sheet with other categories here. Tonight, just 3 rebounds, played 32 minutes. I understand fouls were an issue with 5. He checked out of the third quarter early, but still 32 minutes of work tonight. Just 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 13 points. He did come up with 5 steals, which was great to see that from him. So that was forcing turnovers, certainly. And that was the biggest issue that the Jazz had this evening. Take a look at the team stats overall. The Utah Jazz tonight, when it came, this is number 3. So I go Maxey and Joel Embiid is my number 1A and 1B. Paul George's performance tonight. And then number 3, just the ability to force turnovers from the Utah Jazz. 22 turnovers tonight by the Utah Jazz. The Sixers were able to only get 22 points off those 22 turnovers. You want to see that really? You want to see him make him pay every time. You want to see it 44 points or something like that. That'd be kind of tough. But 22 turnovers tonight, and the Sixers, here's their magic number, only 8 turnovers. And from those 8 turnovers, they conceded 12 points to the Utah Jazz. So the turnover battle, protecting the basketball, allowing a bad team to eventually show you that they're a bad team, that's what the Sixers were able to do against the Utah Jazz tonight. Let them, just give them enough rope, just give them enough leeway, just give them enough slack for them to show you who they were, which was a team that ultimately was going to either choke the game away or not be able to come up and capitalize with key possessions down the floor on the other end. And that's what happened really throughout tonight's ballgame, with the exception of that first quarter. In the final frame tonight, the 76ers, after just walloping the Utah Jazz 35-18 in the second quarter, the Sixers were able to, unfortunately, they let that third quarter slip away. And then, again, were able to just get enough done in that fourth quarter to make sure that they were able to get their third consecutive victory. Joel Embiid tonight, I thought when he checked into the game at around the back in the fourth quarter, around the 7-minute mark, I felt the entire dynamic changed. Sixers had a 1-point lead at the 8:23 mark off a Guerschon Yabusele steal and the run out that I mentioned earlier to Kelly Oubre. And then Embiid checks back into the game. Yabusele off the bench playing good backup minutes there as the center without Andre Drummond still dealing with that injury. He played well. But once he checked out and Joel Embiid came back into the game, you felt the pace really slow down. You really thought that the Sixers, and rightfully so, had a concerted effort to get that ball back to the big man. And Joel Embiid knew exactly what to do. Most of the time, he was able to drive the lane. He was able to get to the basket. He was able to get N1s. He was able to knock down, how many threes did he have? Did he have 1 for 4 from 3? So it was still good to see him be able to knock that one down. But all in all, seeing him control the pace of play and then seeing Tyrese Maxey hit threes in this game to make sure the Sixers were able to stay just in front of the Utah Jazz tonight. All in all, was it an encouraging win? No. I know beggars can't necessarily be choosers, especially when you only have 12 wins on the season. Beats the heck out of the 7 that the Utah Jazz have in the 30 games they've played this year. But all in all, this Sixers team is still in a position, as far as I'm concerned, to obviously put a bunch of wins together, convince people that they're still very much a playoff team, and I don't think too many people are doubting that. But this Sixers team coming into this game was coming off a huge, huge win against the Boston Celtics on Christmas Day. Then they made the trip out to Utah, had a couple of days off. They settled in against the Jazz, came out slow as molasses against Markkanen and the Jazz, and then righted the ship in the second quarter to make this a game. Both teams enjoyed some nice leads, double-digit leads throughout the game tonight. The Sixers' largest lead was 11 points. The Jazz' largest lead was 14 points. And then, of course, came in that first quarter where the Sixers lost 34-22 in that first quarter. But the Sixers were able to work out the kinks as the game went on. And when you needed to take it to the next level, the Sixers were able to do that. There was also one particular case where I thought Nick Nurse, again, for a second consecutive game, put some good coaching on display. And there's some other instances in this game where I thought the officiating could have been upgraded a little bit. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On Sports Philadelphia on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Locked On 76ers Postcast, back after this. Robin Hood Gold. With Robin Hood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robin Hood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robin Hood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. That's IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. So looking at the numbers for tonight's basketball game, a couple of things. Before we get to the numbers. With 9 seconds left in the game tonight, 8 seconds left in the game, 3-point game. Sixers are trying to get after a rebound. Paul George was just down the other end on their possession with 18 seconds left, and he went 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Now 8 seconds left. There's a scramble for a loose ball that goes out of bounds. Originally, the officiating crew, this is 8 seconds left in the game, they rule that it is a Utah Jazz ball. The Sixers are only up 3 points. Okay? Somehow, magically, this time around, Nick Nurse actually gets to challenge a play. Earlier in the game, he was not allowed to challenge. We'll talk about that in a second. But with 8 seconds left in the game, the Sixers up 3, it looks like it's going to be Utah Jazz ball. The Sixers get an opportunity to challenge. They challenge, and they win the challenge. That allows the Sixers to go down the other end of the court, where, again, Paul George is fouled on a miraculous, to call it the miraculous foul there on the Utah Jazz. Paul George goes to the line, goes again 1 of 2, makes it a 112-108 game. With that one possession, with Paul George knocking down that one free throw, that helped put things out of reach against the Utah Jazz. So they go down the other end of the court. They call the timeout. The Jazz call the timeout. Now the Sixers are up 4. They go down the other end. Lauri Markkanen gets a 3 at the top of the key. He knocks it down. He had himself an incredible game tonight, as a matter of fact, especially started and ended strong for the Jazz. That makes it a 1-point game. So now the Sixers got to scurry again. And this time they're able to go down the other end of the court thanks to this one possession. Now, if you remember, against the Boston Celtics, there was an interesting situation where Nick Nurse, not challenged, but at least made the officiating crew aware of Tyrese Maxey, that he should have had the ball side out of bounds with 1.1 seconds left on the clock. Instead, the referees had only 0.9 left on the clock. So Nick Nurse argued it, got his 0.2 of a second put back on the clock, and that's when Tyrese Maxey was able to go down the other end with 1:09 remaining and put the Sixers up 5 points. Thanks to that 0.2 of a second that were put back on the clock, courtesy of Nick Nurse. So Nick Nurse makes the challenge here. At this point, you really got nothing to lose. Take the challenge. They challenge it. They win the challenge. They go down the other end on this play. They get one more point out of it, and that point helped keep the Jazz at bay. Now, again, you're looking at just seconds left on the clock here. And yeah, it was Paul George. He went down the other end, made one free throw, and that was that, with the Sixers coming away on top. There was another play earlier in the game that I just don't understand. I just don't get. Joel Embiid, and I think this was in the second quarter. Joel Embiid is playing defense in the second quarter. I want to say it was Sexton that was coming down the end, dribbling in from the top of the key. Joel Embiid goes to D him up, and Sexton loses the ball out of bounds, and they rule it out on Joel Embiid. Now, I've never seen Nick Nurse argue like this. I've never seen Tyrese Maxey argue like that, and I've never seen Joel Embiid all at the same time. All three of them looked like they were saying the same exact thing, and the officiating crew wouldn't give the timeout to Nick Nurse. It ended up being a play that they lose possession. It also ended up being a play where they awarded a technical foul in favor of the Jazz, and they convert. And I'm just waiting for – it was a clear losing of possession by the Utah Jazz. The ball clearly went off of them. Joel Embiid never touched it. As a matter of fact, he never touched the Jazz player, barely. And the ball goes out of bounds clearly off the Jazz, and they don't allow Nick Nurse to challenge the play. And if he would have challenged it, he would have gotten it. So it's not like he would have lost it, and then he wouldn't have that challenge for the 6-second mark left in the game. So I was going bananas. I look over at Nick Nurse. He's going bananas. I look over at Tyrese Maxey. He's talking to the head official going, what are you guys talking about? Did you not see? We all just saw it. We all look. I love when the players look up at the FanDuel or Jumbotron, and they're like, it's right there. Like, you didn't see it. And all I see is the official just say, calm down. Telling Nick Nurse, hey, calm down. You don't need to, calm down. Nick Nurse like, what are you talking about? Calm down. You just blew this call. There was another play that, just to show you that I'm non-biased, the Kelly Oubre fast break where he missed the layup. And it was 3 minutes left in the game. Sixers are up 105-103. He has an opportunity to put the Sixers up 4. Yeah. Doesn't do it because he misses the layup. They go down the other end. Sensabaugh gets fouled. He gets 2 free throws, hits them both, ties the game at 105. So you have a 4-point swing at that point in the game. And Nick Nurse was losing his mind. Kelly Oubre was wildly confused. After the Sixers committed the foul on Sensabaugh, they all looked to the officials like, why didn't you call it down there? That type of thing. And it was slight contact. If it's LeBron James, he's getting the call. Kelly Oubre ain't getting that call. Kelly Oubre, go up strong, throw that baby down. And he didn't do it. So I was more upset with Kelly Oubre than I was at the officiating crew on that, unfortunately. Sixers also had a great play there by Joel Embiid to force a jump ball situation that ended up being a shot clock violation at the 1:15 mark, and another Sixers possession. They had an opportunity to go up 4. They ended up not doing it. Maxey ended up missing a 3. They had a little 2-man game with Joel Embiid. I don't understand why they didn't work to the basket at that point with 50 seconds left, but it all worked out in the end, more or less. It all worked out in the end. When we come back, we're going to take a little bit more of a look at what the Sixers have on the schedule coming up in the not-too-distant future. And there's one player yet again that has stepped up for the 76ers in this time of need, and he stepped up again tonight. We'll talk about him when we return. This is Locked On 76ers Postcast and the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Locked On 76ers Postcast. Back after this. You guys have heard me talking a lot about FanDuel. Take advantage of all FanDuel has to offer. Get ready to tackle the NFL action, especially with the playoffs just around the corner with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the very same page where you placed your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com to join today and get in on these odds. Kansas City Chiefs going off right now as the favorites to win the Super Bowl at plus 370. They just took over the Detroit Lions spot. Detroit Lions are going off at plus 450. Buffalo Bills at plus 500. The Ravens and the Eagles are at plus 700. Minnesota Vikings at plus 1,200. How about this for the Eagles-Cowboys game tomorrow, kicking off at 1 o'clock? My man Harry Mays and Jason Martinez will have you covered right here on Locked On Sports Philadelphia for your Eagles postcast. But the Dallas Cowboys and Eagles kicking off at 1 o'clock in South Philly. Eagles 7-point favorites right now. They are -7 going into this game, courtesy of the great people of FanDuel. Over-under set at 38.5. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets on FanDuel when you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The man that I need to talk about. You talk about clutch. There's no Andre Drummond, folks. Andre Drummond ain't walking through that door, okay? And there's a Frenchman who, against the Spurs, stepped up in the clutch. Against the Celtics, the team that drafted him in the NBA a couple years shy of a decade ago, stepped up in the clutch there. And then again tonight, Guerschon Yabusele, 22 minutes logged at the center position, pulls you down, 8 rebounds. They might go, 8 rebounds. 8 rebounds, big deal. Okay, 5 of those rebounds are on the offensive side of things. He comes up with 12 points in the ballgame. Not terrible by any means. Pretty damn good in 22 minutes for this guy. Knocks down 2 3-pointers and gets you those 5 offensive boards. I know I shouted him out a little bit earlier in the game or in the show, but in that fourth quarter, when you go back to around that 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter, you're talking about Guerschon Yabusele getting the Sixers back into the game after some big hype plays by Eubanks. 2 alley-oop, well, 1 alley-oop jam, another alley-oop layup, if you want to call it that. I call it just a pass. The Sixers were down 85-81. Things could have gone off the rails. Yabusele is able to get a second chance point on a layup, makes it a 2-point game again. Next thing you know, the next possession, Maxey's able to knock down a 3. Eubanks gets another jam. Guerschon Yabusele at the 8:45 mark of the fourth quarter knocks down a 3. Then he gets a steal and converts that to points on an assist that he gives to Kelly Oubre to give the Sixers a 1-point edge. Shortly after that, he checks out, Embiid checks in. The rest is history. But what this team is getting from Guerschon Yabusele throughout this season is such a pleasant surprise. A signing that I know people that paid attention in the Olympics are like, okay, let's see what this guy can do at the NBA level. Let's see if he can keep this going, what he was able to do at the Olympic level. See if he could be this improved player that we've heard a little bit about throughout this Olympic tournament. And sure enough, what you're getting right now from Guerschon Yabusele is a lot more than I had anticipated. You're talking about a guy that's averaging 9.5 points per game. You're talking about a guy who has shot 38%, 38.5% from three, actually, so far this season. And you're talking about a guy who has been able to get you rebounds and able to get you offensive rebounds this season. I did not expect this kind of performance throughout this year from Guerschon Yabusele. Now, 3 straight games, 3 straight wins for the Sixers, 3 straight games for Guerschon Yabusele off the bench to be able to help the Sixers with 10 or more points, 12 or more points, actually, to be more specific. Also pulling down rebounds in that time, forcing turnovers in that time, and making sure he's getting you on the offensive glass as well. This is what you love to see from the supporting cast members. If a guy like Paul George is struggling a little bit, you need to see a Kelly Oubre step up. If Joel Embiid's not playing, Guerschon Yabusele's got to step up. If Andre Drummond goes down, you want to make sure you have somebody else stepping up. And that's what the Sixers have. We were waiting a long time, a lot of us very patiently, to see if the Sixers were going to give us what we were expecting from them. And now I know a lot of people around the national media are starting to give the Sixers their props. They're starting to give them their just due. Oh, this is the team that we talked about when they signed Paul George in the offseason. This is the team that we talked about when we heard Daryl Morey talk about how they need a wing player. We're going to go after a wing player. Well, the wing player's here. Has it been great? Not so great. A little flash here and there. But when you look at a complete roster, and you look at guys stepping up, this is the team that we expected to see. 9 of your last 12 is a lot more like the team that I thought we would see before this season got underway. Winning 9 of 12? Yeah, just keep doing that. Just keep doing it. And you know what? I haven't even looked in a while because it's, our friend Keith Pompey, who does Locked On 76ers daily podcast along with Kayla Santiago. He references it. He references it on social media quite a bunch, where he talks about your way too early viewing of the standings. Well, as of right now, your 76ers are just a half game behind the Detroit Pistons for the final play-in spot in the Eastern Conference. Sixers are going to have an opportunity to get right back at it. That's going to be tomorrow. So they'll have the off day Sunday, and then Monday they'll be back in action 10 o'clock when they face the Portland Trailblazers. Sixers eyeing up a win. Hopefully another win against that Trailblazers team. This is an 11-20 win Trailblazers team at this point. Sixers, when you talk about this West Coast road trip, after the Jazz, they got the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday. They got the Golden State Warriors on Thursday. And then they're back on the East Coast, but on the road on January 4th when they got the Brooklyn Nets at 6 o'clock. That should be a good time as per usual. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine evening. Bam Man 100, what's going on? This is what you call an annoying win. PG needs to figure it out, but the Sixers are officially on a, get ready for it, here it comes, a winning streak. Bam Man, thank you so much. A says, good morning, everyone. Yes, technically it is the morning. It is 12:54 in the a.m. Big task at hand. New York Knicks. Okay, they're a team that plays basketball. Thank you for chiming in. That's a team. What did the Knicks do, though? Did the Knicks do something? They're 22-10 on the season. They've won, 7 in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row. And they're back at it tomorrow against the Wizards. They got a home. Well, no, both 2 games on the road against the Wizards. So there you go. Wow, they beat the Wizards 136-132. Holy pots and pans. Jalen Brunson dropped 55. That's a night. That's a good night for him. In an overtime game, whatever. It's extra period, whatever. So that's what you're looking at right now for the New York Knickerbockers. So 22-10. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's hope that this is the Sixers team we're going to be seeing for the foreseeable future. Joel Embiid gets the night off. Doesn't have a back-to-back for a minute here. Tuesday, Wednesday, the 14th and 15th, OKC in New York. New York is on ESPN. That game is going to be. That game will have Joel Embiid. He'll rest that Monday, or excuse me, that That Tuesday, he'll rest. And then he'll be back at it on Wednesday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Oh, wait, here we go. Knicks almost lost to the Wizards is what they did. Thank you, Bandman 100. Yeah, they went to OT, man. They went to OT. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll be back with you guys for that the Trailblazers game. I'll be back with you guys bright and early in the morning. Like 1 o'clock in the morning, we'll be doing our postcast after the Trailblazers, after the Kings, after the Golden State Warriors. Next 3 games, all 10 o'clock start times. Good times. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is Locked On Sports Philadelphia, Locked On 76ers Postcast. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on Locked On 76ers Postcast and Locked On Sports Philadelphia's YouTube channel. Back with you guys Monday night at 10 o'clock. Well, after the 10 o'clock tip-off against the Blazers. See you guys then. Bye.